I'll look it up after the broadcast. Going live here.
Okay.
Super late model action from Five Flags, the most historic super late model track in America. I'd have to say, you know, the Snowball Derby hosted here every year. This is the American Sim Network, broadcasting Major League Esports Super Late Model Series. Joined tonight by Dylan Ackhart.
Hello, Matt. Hello, everyone. Hope you guys got your popcorn, got your pretzels, and ready to see a great action. The fans are still piling into the stands here. You know, we see this track we use so much. It is known for the Snowball Derby, but tonight is Major League Esports night, and they are here and they are ready to give us a great show.
Yeah, one of the most interesting series I think we broadcast, solely because of the fact that we don't do a lot of short track racing. You know, our Cup League that we broadcast, Anarchy Motorsports, they only go to a short track when NASCAR goes to a short track, which unfortunately is not as often as I'd like it to be. This is like the only league we broadcast that is 100%. This is short track racing at its finest because it is a super late models. Last week we were at Stafford Motor Speedway, and that was a pretty interesting race. The week before that we were at oh Lord, what track was that? Thompson. And that was also incredibly interesting because Adam Yoslin took one of the most interesting rides I've seen this season. You were there for that, Dylan.
Oh, yeah. Adam had from 2 weeks ago, he kind of destroyed the car. Last week, he did a great finish. And right now, if you look at our standings from hot laps, that board is very interesting because you have Joshua Hunt and Jonathan Smith and AJ all within the top 3.
Yeah,
you
actually,
don't see that.
Allow me to correct myself. That was not, it was not Thompson. It was New Smyrna. Excuse me. Made that mistake. But yeah, either way, you were there for that. That was one of the most interesting things I've seen out of these super late models when a car gets hopped up onto the wall. You know what I mean?
Oh, most definitely. It's we kind of saw how much of the beating these super late models can take from last week. I think every driver had some kind of damage to that right side fender. So it'll be interesting coming to this track, which is so much wider and bigger and just more racy to me. We see them when they go to the Snowball Derby, they're 2x2 all the way back. Tonight we do have a smaller field, but we actually have a good sized field tonight. We have 16 drivers who are in the room right now. The haulers are still getting pulled in a little bit. So far we got 10 drivers who have put a time down, so we actually got a pretty good turnout tonight.
Adam Yoslin is the current points leader right now heading into this week. Now, do bear in mind, we're coming up on the end of the season. Actually, after tonight, we've only got 4 more races till the end of the season. 5 Flags Speedways tonight. Next week, we head to Iowa. Then how about we mix it up at the Bull Ring with the newest short track on iRacing? I think that's going to be very interesting. Then we go to USA, and we end out the season with the biggest track on our circuit. That will be Richmond International Raceway, one of my favorite tracks for these super late models. Now, talking more about this track, Five Flags, I remember all the way back, it was like early 2015, the Truck Series on iRacing actually went to this track, believe it or not.
Oh, you're talking about the fixed,
yeah, remember
the official
that?
series. Oh, I remember that. I think I was in a few of those races.
I did.
I mean, they were a challenge, but they were fun. I wish we did more of that odd, funky stuff with different cars and track combo. Because this track it's so. I think the biggest thing that we see out of this track compared to all the other ones that we've been to is that it's big. We have 3 lanes. Actually, you can kind of have 4 lanes depending on how wide your car is. But you have 3 good-sized lanes, and they're not. Of course, you want to be on the bottom lane, but you can easily do 2x2 across this whole track without having any issues. What makes Five Flags just so magnificent and just amazing track is you can just have everyone kind of be together without having a big issue.
Yeah, and yeah, that's true. It's just going to be very interesting seeing these cars side by side. And how about this? Our points leader, though, Adam Yoslin, actually running 9th on the scoring charts right now. Not a good place for him to be.
It's actually really kind of shocking because we saw Adam. He started I think he started in front both races the last 2 weeks. He was up in front, and then kind of had to work his way up to getting those podium finishes. But look who's very shocking to me right now.
Russell Eiler.
He's at number 67.
Oh, Colin Allman. Yeah, he was fast
His
the last
car
few
has
weeks.
not went on track yet to put a qualifying time down.
No, he's put a qual time down, but he's actually intentionally starting in the back of the field. He set a qualifying time of the fastest, a 1 minute 40-second or 39/10 lap. He is intentionally starting in the back of the field.
It's going to be interesting. Saw what he did last week. He went around. He was starting in the front row. The students gave the top 3 an EOL for beginning of each race from the previous week. They go to the back. Sadly, Colin was one of those drivers who went to the back, and he had to work his way through the field.
So this time he cuts out the middleman and puts himself in the back. How about this, though? Russell Eiler, you know, again, one of the most interesting stories, in my opinion, this season is that particular driver, simply because he's just had terrible luck, you know, and yet, if you look at it, he's still pretty good in the standings. I mean, you know, I think he's like somewhere almost in second, I'd say. I don't know for certain, but I think he's actually second in the point standings. He's consistent. Yeah, no, he's not second. He's fourth in the point standings, excuse me, but you know, to me, it's very interesting. He got an average start at 5th, average finish at 7th. Now, that doesn't sound too bad, but consider the fact that this field, at most, has had, I think, the record has been 15 cars this season, somewhere around there. So, you know, it's not a very big field, so he's had bad luck. But look at this. He's in the top 3 right now. Actually, he is the 3rd quickest at the moment.
Yeah, this is going to be his biggest challenge, is that he kind of gets a little close to those walls. And we're not driving a dirt car. These cars don't like to be touching the wall, unlike a dirt car. And that's one of his biggest issues is that he goes around and he does hit those, he does kind of push a little too much, which knocks the speed off the car. But for getting a 3rd place qualifying time is actually going to be very great for him and very good for him, because he can control a little bit of his own destiny, being that 3rd place car in that inside lane.
Hopefully he doesn't get into the wall anymore. He's had one top 5 this season. That came, I believe, that was actually at, that was at Thompson. Was his first top 5 of the season. He's come very close since. No, it wasn't Thompson. It was, oh, that's a career top 5. He's had, unfortunately, only one top 5 this entire, his entire running in Major League Esports. Looking for his 2nd. But his best finish this season has been 6th. He's had that repeated, actually, quite a few times. Most recently at Thompson Speedway, where he did start 5th. Last week he finished 12th and had started 9th. Unfortunately, was disconnected. He finished 42 laps down. Maybe tonight will be a little bit better. I believe this is one of his, I think it's his 2nd time starting in 3rd this season. His first time was at Lucas Oil. And he did finish actually 4th, so, you know, looking at a good season. Or looking at a good night, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we kind of seen him kind of struggle at the very beginning. He's kind of worked his way up, and right now he's showing the boys, look, we got a good car. We got something going for you guys. I hope you guys are ready, because for being 3rd place, that's going to be really good, showing Adam and Colin and a lot of these other faster guys that, you know, we might be a little slow at the beginning, but look at where we are now. So it could be a good thing.
Speaking of faster guys, qualifying just about ready to wrap up here, and we get into the show. It's going to be a very interesting night. Sunday night short track racing. Usually it's Saturday night that's a big night for short track racing. I think Sunday works perfectly well. Before we get into the show, though, I want to send out our thoughts and prayers to Eric Amarola's family. For those of you that follow NASCAR, you will know he was in a terrible crash Saturday night that he actually fractured a vertebrae. I think it was like T5 vertebrae or something like that. So hopefully a speedy recovery for him, and best of luck to him and his family. On top of that, I think NASCAR needs to start looking at better safety features. Looking at you, low downforce package. Anyway, qualifying wrapped up. Yeah, no surprise here. I'm not a fan of that low downforce package. I honestly feel like it's messing things up badly. But that's besides the point. We got an amazing show tonight. How about we take a look at the starting lineup for the drivers making up the field. That is the results tab. The starting lineup is presented by the Pine Creek Railroad. How about row 1? Jason Noboy.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to do a quick driver's meeting. I stepped in late here towards the tail end of
I do not.
qualifying. So
I don't even want to attempt to say it, so I'm going to call you Jason T until we get confirmation from the tower of what it is. We're sorry that we can't say your last name. We feel bad, but yeah.
Yeah, so row 1 is going to be Jason T and Jonathan Smith. Looking down to row 2, Russell Eiler, Trevor Edwards. How about row 3, Dan Butler and AJ Brissett. Row 4, Jeremy Stanley, Joseph McWhorter. Row 5, Adam Yoslin and Douglas Wasaki. Row 6, Joshua Hart, Colin Allman. Row 7, Bob Loran, Ryan Lang. I don't think Loran's racing because he's an admin. Dustin also not racing due to being an admin. And Gerald Wheeler will round out the field. So what should be, what it looks like will be a 14-car field. Not too bad of a field size for this track, I think. You know what I mean?
It's going to be a very interesting race. We got 14 guys out there. And it's going to be very intense at the very beginning of this race. We've seen it before. They kind of push it, some relax, some kind of be easygoing. It all depends on what the strategy is and how the teams build their setup. We've seen it the past 2 weeks. The setup is what really kind of shows you, is your tires going to be ready or is it going to be an issue later on?
So we look through the field here, watching these cars all lined up for what is shaping out to be a good turnout in what should be an amazing night of racing as we move our camera up to the flagger stand, and we will watch the start of this race from the flag stand. Next to the iRacing official. The first official should be... Actually, we'll move the camera down, and there you go. Very short racetrack here at Five Flags Speedway. You know, nothing like, I'd say New Smyrna is bigger than this track.
The biggest thing about this track is that it's so wide. You can always see it on the pace laps. The track is so wide, you can probably do a 3 wide. So I don't think we're going to see anything that risky. But I most definitely see we're going to do a lot of 2x2 and a lot of pushing on each other. But this is kind of like the Daytona of all tracks, but super late models.
Pace cars down. Here they come. And green flag is out. We're racing here from Five Flags. I almost said Concord.
Oh, look at that battle for second. The pinching very hard, but this is what we see at Five Flags. Look at that. Look at the battle for that number 21 of Dan Butler with everyone around him.
Yeah, look at these guys all under a blanket right now, and Russell Eiler in that 65 car trying to run that outside line. I think that's usually why he gets put into the wall. As he tries to run up there, does he stay out of it? Yes, he does. Came very close. I think he's got to really worry about how close he gets to that wall. Oh, no. No. Man, he's got to stay out of that outside line. That's his problem. It's eating his entire season up, unfortunately.
Man, that's hard.
All the way back to 13th.
That's hard, especially when you just know you have that good of a car and you just, it's just a little bit of over push is all it does. Just push it a little too hard and you go up the hill.
Yeah, I mean, that is just rough. It is it's the 4th top 5 start this season, and unfortunately just can't capitalize it at all. At least right now. And you see he's actually already falling off. I guarantee you he really tore up that race car good.
Well, look who's making the charge through the field. Yeah, Joshua Hunt and Colin Allman Right now, they're 7th and 8th. They're kind of pushing each other a little bit to get by these slower cars, but they started, they were qualified 11th and 12th. Now they're 7th and 8th, so they are coming through the field. So watch an eye on them working their way together, trying to maybe get those positions as a team a little bit.
Well, if I remember accurately from last week, these were the two drivers that were basically at each other's throat the entire race, and look, it's back again. I don't think we're going to escape these guys all night, and look at them. They're running as hard as they can, and yeah, you're right. They look like they're kind of working together right now, but I bet you once they kind of get to the front of the field, all bets are off. Meanwhile, battle for the lead. Trevor Edwards battling Jason T.
He puts the nose there. He's side by side. Drag race going into turn number 1.
Jason got into that outside wall a little bit.
Ooh,
he's going to get freight trained right there. Now it's going to be Jonathan
big
Smith.
wreck.
Where's this? I see Jeremy Stanley involved.
Dan Butler is sideways, coming out of turn number 2, collecting another
Adam
driver.
Yoslin's in it. Now we're going to have the competition yellow on lap 50 as well, so this is going to make interesting. Do the drivers want to pit now or wait till 50? I think this is the first time we've seen a caution this early into the race. You mentioned Dan Butler involved. Yeah, that 20 car kind of got around on the backstretch. Adam Yoslin got in it pretty badly. 44, Jeremy Stanley luckily gets by. I don't know how he didn't get involved in that. Russell Eiler will move up in the field as well. He'll move into 10th thanks to that. Jeremy Stanley's American Sim Network Ford Fusion down on pit lane as we take it to the caution cam. AJ Brissett, your race leader from Five Flags. Coming back live here at Five Flags, and we are getting ready for the green flag. Dylan Ackhart calls the green.
Ooh, there's a lot. Look at those drivers. Look at that top 6. That top 6. Top 8. Just looks hungry for a position. Pace car is off. Great start by AJ in that. Ooh, look at that lead that AJ just got. Joseph.
Russell Eiler, 3 wide. Was 3 wide. He picked off 2 spots right there, going for a 3rd. Now that's the form you want to see that 65 car, and I feel like if he stays out of that high line, he'll be fine tonight.
Well, look at Colin and Joshua. They're right there. They're 3rd and 4th.
They're the two.
They see the leaders. They want it.
They're the 2 guys that have been battling at their throats every race they've been in, and this is no exception. We're going to go for this lead on McWhorter. That's for 2nd place. AJ Brissett, the leader. Jason T, who started this race on pole, led 9 laps. He's fallen back to 7th. Meanwhile, AJ Brissett still holds a good lead. Colin Allman just battling for 3rd. We see a pass for 5th. That's Trevor Edwards passing Ryan Lang.
Oh, look at Colin. He's just putting his nose just right there, telling Joseph, if you mess up, that spot's mine.
Russell.
As he shoves it right there. That might be a little bit of contact.
Hey, it's short track racing. It's what you get. Part of the magic to this kind of racing is the little bit of contact you do get. He's trying to make that outside line work. I don't know if that's actually gonna work. And he dives to the inside, kind of a good move. Didn't actually pay off, unfortunately.
Look, just look at that. He's right there.
I think he's gonna have to give him a little bit of a shove to get past him. Looks like this is one of those tracks that's very hard to pass at, especially in these corners. Really is only one groove around this racetrack, it would seem. You know what I mean?
Well, as they battle, look who's catching up behind them. You got Trevor Edwards and Jason T. Oh, look at that! Oh no!
Oh, car
Spin.
around. That's the 7. That'll be Joseph McWhorter. Luckily, no real damage done to that car other than the spin. We're going to get an instant replay look on that one from the backstretch, courtesy of our instant replay camera. See, they're battling. They were battling pretty hard going into 3. Looks like that 7 was right. The 95 just kind of moved up a little bit.
It's basically is that we're just so tight that it's just a little bit of contact just gets these cars going.
Yeah, you can see it coming from our front stretch cam. Very good job by everyone else to kind of avoid him too, you know. Top 5 as they run: Colin Allman, Joshua Hart, Trevor Edwards, AJ Brissett, and Jason T. We see most of the field coming down pit lane. We'll be right back.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
And we are back here under the lights here at Five Flags International Speedway, home of the Snowball Derby. Let me tell you, we have 2 cautions so far, and these guys are not disappointing the fans out here. We got, I think every fan is on their feet ready for this green flag to start, but they know that these drivers are pushing every limit of their car to try to get that just ultimate track position and the points. Well, coming down to the wire to the end of the season, every point will matter. So right now they know it as look who's in the lead right there. Colin and Joshua are 2 leaders of last week, and they're side by side starting this thing when we go back to green this time by.
Yeah, and again, they're always at each other's throats. It's always the best battle on the racetrack, I think. It's when those 2 race cars are right next to each other because you have 2 incredibly talented drivers. But let's not forget about Trevor Edwards, another great talent here tonight, and he's running 3rd. Adam Yoslin, the points leader, has retired from the event. He'll finish 13th after blowing a motor on that first crash. Pace car is down, and the Green flag, American Ethanol. Green flag is in the air. Let them rocket into turn 1. Side by side behind the 4-car breakaway. That's Jason T caught up on the outside. Was Jason T. Now he's gotten kind of the inside.
Look at that three-way battle for the lead. There's a little bit of spacing, but they're right there. The main thing is that with Travis pushing Joshua, Joshua's also pushing Colin. So you wonder, those three cars, there's actually only, let's get the monitors. We only got 5 cars on the track that have 20 plus old tires. Right now, the leaders have 33 laps on their tires. Everybody else has pitted. So, could we say it's a battle of new versus old on tires?
Yeah, I would say so. And right now, you mentioned the leaders. Does that include Trevor Edwards? Yeah, Trevor Edwards didn't pit either. So, that entire top 3's holding very good. Look at that 95 car not holding too good. Go figure. I say the leaders are holding good, and the 95 car slips up a little bit. Russell Eiler, we mentioned, was having a good night, starting 3rd. Unfortunately, down to 11th, battling. That is Jeremy Stanley, who is the last car on the lead lap in that American Sim Network Ford Fusion. Meanwhile, the leader, Colin Allman, starting to pull away. But how about Trevor Edwards not getting off the back bumper of Joshua Hart?
You know, I think he's doing this on purpose. You go around, you push, you put a little bit of pressure on that bumper, make him drive a little bit harder, wear out his tires a little bit faster, you get by him faster. You know, it could be a strategy game, or it could just be that the cars are just so close on pace that they're just kind of pushing each other.
Yeah, but I feel
that
like
whole top 6 is right there.
I feel like he's going to wear out his tires, though, trying to keep up with him, you know?
Oh, it's definitely, you know, you got the top 6, 2 seconds, which for a road course isn't a lot, but for an oval course, it's a lot, but yet they're all right there. Any one of them makes a tiniest mistake, they can go around and take it and, you know, change the whole game up pretty much by doing one tiny miss-up. So right now you can kind of see a lot out of Trevor Edwards, as he's been kind of pushing it a little harder.
He'll get to the inside,
and,
that'll be Brissett trying to get to his
AJ.
inside. I'll say AJ almost did get to his inside, not quite. Look, our viewers in the chat, come on, give us some interaction. It's so dead there. I love interacting with the fans, you know. Come on, give us something. Side-by-side battle for that will be 3rd. AJ Brissett not able to make it stick. Only a few laps away from our competition caution if we still have it. I would assume we will. Ooh, look at Trevor Edwards. This has become a, what, 4-way battle for 2nd?
It has most definitely got tight, but the driver's chat, there's a lot of patience be giving on right now. AJ really wants to get there. As you can see him, look at that gap he closes. He gets so tight
Trevor Edwards to the inside.
Oh, so close on middle of the exit that they're just on each other's bumpers.
Yeah, and you see AJ Brissett makes quick work of them, as well as does Jonathan Smith. That'll put Hart all the way back to 5th. Those old tires not working out for him.
Yeah, most definitely. It's funny because Colin Allman, who qualified 12th, is leading this thing with 46-year-old tires.
Did you just say 46-year-old tires?
46 laps.
That's a very old. Oh, big crash. Oh. That takes out 2 of the best drivers on the track, and I'm going to have to assume that will be the competition yellow, because this will take us into lap 50. Man, that's unfortunate.
Ooh, that's... Tower officials have just said that this is a competition yellow, so...
I was going to say, that makes sense.
The breaking point. The halfway mark.
There would really be no point in having the competition yellow, because it would be green flag caution. Looks like Trevor Edwards just got loose on that line. AJ Brissett got caught up, and really Joshua Hart got the brunt of that damage. We'll go on board, or in-car Joshua Hart, I should say. See Hardy sees Edwards kind of just lose it. Nowhere to go. Almost reminds me of NIS on Friday night. I mean, you were there.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big crash. How about this, though? From last car on the lead lap to race leader, Jeremy Stanley has control of the field. How about that?
You know, it's interesting that every team came down to get new tires and probably might have put a little bit of fuel in the cars just to get it a little bit of a weight back to those rear tires. As you can see, we saw that incident with AJ. He kind of got him a little hot, spun him, but you also, when you take fuel out, you're raising your ride height. So, you know, maybe when you put the fuel back in, it might help get the car back settled down a little bit. Not so crazy like, but most definitely a very interesting call that every driver went down pit road to get new tires.
I'm pretty curious to see how AJ's car is going to handle after making that contact. You saw there was pretty good contact there.
There was good contact. It will depend on where the most of the damage is. Hopefully, there wasn't enough damage to the suspension, which could have broke the suspension, the steering shaft, anything with the motor in general. And then it's just, you know, these cars don't create enough draft to really worry about that, unlike a NASCAR car. But you most definitely will see. It'll be interesting how the car will handle after maybe 5 or so laps on. Especially if the tire did bend just by maybe 1 or 2 degrees because of that compact.
Yeah, because it looked like it hit that right front wheel well.
It hit the wheel well, so it'd be interesting if
well, we can
he
go
does
in.
have an issue.
We can go in car and kind of get an idea of if there's any, if it knocked the toe out of it all just by the way he's holding that steering wheel. It doesn't look like he's holding that steering wheel at a, you know, any kind of weird angle. You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
It looks fairly normal. We'll ride with him on this start, get an idea.
The pace car is now off.
Let you call it.
Green flag is out. Oh, look, man. One great thing that Colin Allman can do is get a good restart and give him just so much of a lead on those starts. He has a 1 second gap between him and AJ.
And you see where... Oh, that's not AJ. That's AJ. See, in car with AJ, you're riding with Jonathan Smith there for a second, too. Kind of get an idea of the 2 steering wheels. You know, it doesn't look like AJ's holding that wheel too far out of place. Looks just about where everyone else is, you know what I mean?
Almost, you know, you have that, but also these drivers can put their wheels at different steering angles. So, you know, maybe you don't want to turn your wheel completely hard left. So you can kind of go around and change your wheel position so you're not completely turning left, but yet you're still turning left in the steering shaft. So you can definitely change your steering. What is it called? I don't want to sound bad.
Offset.
Your steering offset. So you know, most of the time you see NASCAR drivers use about 2 to 4. You know, these cars you might be seeing them do more than that, so they don't have to turn the wheel hard left and yet still go left.
Yeah, I don't think there's any major damage to AJ's car, but you notice he is a bit slower than he was earlier. You know? Say the damage is not terminal to his race car, but it's definitely hindered the performance just a bit.
Now, well, looking at the times right now coming in, Colin Allman is the fastest driver on this racing surface, doing a 15.876. AJ just did a 15.966. So he's about 1/100th of a second off pace. But yet, could it be the damage or could it be just the car itself? So it will be interesting what the team does for next week to get that car ready to go so he can go around and have a winning dominant car.
You know, one driver that's definitely feeling a lot of pain right now, Joshua Hart. That car is tore up in so many different ways. He's running well towards the back of the field right now. He is the last car on the lead lap. On top of that, you see who was the car that actually got turned around? It was it Brissett? It was who was the one that actually turned around?
It was Edward, I believe.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He's out of the race, actually.
Yeah, he packed the car up and they are heading on out. So,
Yeah, they put that thing into the hauler, and you know you can't really blame them with the damage she must have sustained from that. Now that's a car that definitely had something knocked out of it. You know.
most definitely. The little bit of battling going on for 5th between Ryan Long and Joseph in that number 7 and 31. It's interesting because I can listen to driver's chat and the 31 saying the same thing we've been saying, that they put a little too much stress on the tires. Now the tires aren't happy with us. As you can definitely, as there's discussion going on that they are definitely struggling with how it feels.
Yeah, and you know we could continue to watch this race and mention the 31 car running 5th. How about Joseph McWhorter? He wants to get past that 31 car.
Joseph has a good amount of damage too, but yet he's been kind of caught up in some of the incidents tonight, so he has a little bit of damage, but yet it doesn't look like that's slowing him down from catching Ryan.
Yeah, they're right now battling for that 5th spot. Ryan Lang not too far off Joseph McWhorter. Actually, you see McWhorter looks like he's kind of setting up a pass right here. Side by side. McWhorter will clear him onto the backstretch, I think. Yep. Everyone else kind of really just nicely spread out. Colin Allman has got, well, I'd say he's got full control of the field.
Ooh, that was close with that number 31 Ryan.
Yeah, you see Joshua Hart out there on the outside line.
That was scary watching Ryan get that loose on exit of 4.
Preston
He does it again.
Yeah, he'll fall to the inside there. That should be Jeremy Stanley will get by him. Jeremy Stanley no longer the last car on the lead lap, or the last car on the lead lap. That goes to Ryan, but look at Ryan trying to fight back. Keyword there is I say trying to fight back.
Oh, watch Ryan right here. He is so loose right now. That car is doing everything that he doesn't want to be doing. He's probably putting a little too much steering in it to kind of compensate from the looseness. Can't get on the throttle the way he wants. Because right now he's getting passed by a lap car, and that's Dan Butler, and that number 21 who had issues at the very beginning. And Ryan's just having not a great night right now.
Yeah, that's a very unfortunate turn of events for Ryan. You know, you look at him, actually right now, it's actually still a good night. He started 14th, he's up to 8th. So, technically it's a good night for him, but at the same time, you know.
It's a hard night. It's not a sad night, it's a hard night because he's just struggling so hard to make that car be happy and do what he wants him to do.
It's just weird is what it is. Because, you know, on one hand you want to say, well, that's a bad night because look at the way that car's handling. But on the other hand, you want to say, well, he did start dead last. So, you know what I mean?
Almost definitely. It's a hand in hand, but right now he's just struggling very hard with this handling of that car, and he's gonna have a long 25 more laps.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know who I think has the longest 25 laps of, I'd say, his season right now?
Who would that be?
How about Colin Allman? You know, he's leading this, and even at a track like this where you have such a big lead, he has 2 seconds, I would not say that's going to be an easy finish for him tonight. You know?
Well, we've seen him over the past weeks. He kind of goes around, he gets a little bit of a gap, and the gap keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
And just keeps growing.
And right now, he does have a little bit of lap traffic in front of him, but no, he won't be hitting that until probably another lap or 2. So maybe they might slow him down a tiny bit, but Jonathan Smith really needs to get in overdrive and kind of really push it. And right now, Colin Allman is the only driver on track that's doing a 16.0. Everyone else is doing a 16.1 or 2. So he has most definitely has found something with this late model which just makes the car just so much happier and just saves so much tire.
Yeah, having he's definitely having a great run, but you mentioned Jonathan Smith. You know, he's got a 3-second deficit. Now, not to say, though, if Colin gets into the wall or gets slowed up by the wrong lap car, that could be his night well and over.
He got past Russell Lilliard in that number 65 very easily. He didn't slow down his pace at all, as he just gets by number 31 of Ryan.
Oh! Hard into the wall for Ryan.
Gets a little
See
contact
the
with the wall.
spark show that comes out of that race car. Well, it was a few laps ago I said Jeremy Stanley's no longer the last car on the lead lap.
Caution.
Oh, that's Joseph McWhorter. That is the last thing Colin Allman wanted to see.
Now, the million-dollar question. Do we get tires? We've been out there for 37 laps. The question everyone's asking. A, are my tires shot? B, can I make it to the end on this set of tires? Or am I going to go get new tires?
Well, if you're not the leader, you're not going to pit. But if you're third on back, well, that's a different story. Maybe they figure they're going to get one more shot at a tire strategy actually working. I guess we'll have to find out when we come back live. Back live here at the Five Flags Motor Speedway for what should be a very exciting finish. Closing in on the end of this race.
13 to go. Ooh.
Now that's interesting.
Question marks on that start. But once again, another great start for Colin Allman. But that number 7 kind of went by the leaders on the high side, and
That was weird.
I don't know.
Question mark. Yeah. So that just happened.
We got a slow car in the front straightaway. That'll be the 44 as he gets it going again.
That's Jeremy Stanley.
A lot of damage on that car. 10 to go. 3 wide.
Evans towards the back of the field. Look at this battle for third. How about this Joshua Hart? You know, of all the guys I wouldn't expect to battle back for a top 5, much less, I'd say, an off shot at a win. This guy, he got his front end completely destroyed. And look at this, he's battling for third. He has third.
Well, it's old versus new.
Here comes AJ Brissett. See, this is where taking tires works, because look at that gap AJ is closed. He's closing in right on there. I think we might see Colin Allman's win slip away. You know, for anyone who watched the Formula One race this morning, you may remember Sebastian Vettel had a very similar bad strategy where he stayed out on the, well, he had a bad tire call. Lewis Hamilton had better tires, faster tires, and was able to pass him. Looks like we might see the exact same thing happen tonight within 6 laps.
It is going to be interesting because right now I'm calling Allman 48 laps. AJ, 10 laps. As look at AJ diving in there.
Side by side. He pushes them up, and it's a pass for the lead with 5 to go. I would not call this battle over yet, folks, because you see Joshua Hart also ready to battle with what's left of that race car, and Colin Allman is definitely not going to fall back.
Oh, boy. Joshua Hart, currently the only car who also only been out, as he's right there. He is pushing so hard everything he has. Right now, it's go or go home. Because
and he's
honestly,
going for
you
second.
can't burn your tires this much.
He's going for second. Well, it doesn't matter now. You got 3 laps.
The caution does fly. The race is going to be called official. Oh, he's right there. This is going to be interesting if he can get there. He's on his bumper. The biggest thing is, can he make the bump and run?
Yeah, this is it's not going to be the battle for the win, I don't think, but I think it's going to be the battle for second is what we're going to see on this final lap here. Coming in on the last corner, too. Taking it to our start-finish line camera for the finish. It looks like it's going to be AJ Brissett to get it done. Second place, Colin Allman.
Oof, that was a hard battle for second. Joshua Hart, but look at this. We're going to call the tire ratings. You have AJ, 17 laps. Colin, 54. Joshua, 17. Jason T, 17. Jonathan Smith, 54. All these drivers who thought they weren't going to make it, they made it. They were able to show that the new tire does prevail at Five Flags, and that was a great battle for second. If there was probably about 10 more laps, we would have seen a different outcome.
Fortunately, we don't have a single member of the top 5 inside, or top 3 in, oh, we have Joshua Hart. You, I guess we'll start with 3rd place tonight.
Joshua, you got a copy, buddy.
Yeah, I got you.
You got caught up in the very early wrecks. You go around and you had a major issue, and then you come home in 3rd. How did your team get the car fixed up enough to get out there and do that hard charge to almost to 3rd?
I just went in the pits and made a lot of adjustments and repaired the car, and the last set of caution came out and pitted, and we were able to get up front again.
Now, you qualified 11th, and you went right next to Colin Allman. Were you guys at the beginning kind of maybe pushing each other a little bit to get to the lead, or was it kind of just like you two were just so close in pace that you guys kind of just fell in line?
We kind of just fell in line. Colin, he's a really good driver, and I could see him in my rearview mirror, and eventually I let him by me, and I was just following his line.
Now, who helps you each week? Who gets that car ready to go and then battle Colin? Because last week, you two were pretty much at each other's bumpers from lap 1 to lap 100. So, who helps you get that car ready to go to just get those great battles that you two are having?
I appreciate it. This week was me. I put that setup together in about 15 minutes, but usually Scott Schrader and Bob Loran, they help me out a lot. And I really appreciate it.
Well, you come home in 3rd place. That was a great finish for you. And the final thing is, how do you feel about the point standings after the tonight's race?
I haven't really taken a look at it. First few weeks I raced and I dropped out, but not really sure what the standings say. I'm just having fun each week racing.
We like to thank you for coming out and showing us what you guys can do, because you and Colin are just two heavy hitters each week, and let me tell you, it's great to watch you guys.
I appreciate that. Looking forward to the next one.
And that was Joshua Hart, folks. I'll talk to our race winner, AJ Brissett. If you got a copy on us from Victory Lane, buddy.
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, you had one of the most interesting races tonight. You got pretty hard into the wreck when Trevor Edwards was turned around, and I thought that was going to affect your car somewhere. I saw you kind of fall off on one of those restarts, but you were able to battle back. How's that 5 car handled all night?
Yeah, the car wasn't too bad. The overall balance was really well. Just on exit, it was a little tight. It's pushing towards the wall. And then after, I got that damage on the right front fender. It didn't really help it too much. And then the second to last set of tires we threw on it at halfway, it just didn't agree with the car at all. But overall, the balance was good. It was really well balanced, just really tight on exit.
All right, now, how did you guys, your team and crew, set up? How did you guys prepare for this week? Coming from a track so drastically different than Stafford, and you come here, which is again, I think a totally different racetrack.
Yeah, it's completely different, and some of the stuff we do is the same, like tire pressures. It's kind of close. Obviously I can't say what we do, but it involves a lot of suspension stuff, and you just want to get the car, have a good balance. You don't want to have to battle with the car over 100 laps. But Stafford's more flat than this. We have a lot more banking here, and as you could tell, we were getting the middle groove working in there, which was actually kind of cool. I said over my team chat, I was pretty excited about that because, my car handled better up there. But it's mostly tire pressures and suspension stuff.
All right, now how does it feel to get the win tonight here and put yourself into the points battle? Did you think there was any point also during this race that you actually wouldn't be able to win, namely that wreck with Trevor Edwards? Because you did fall back on that restart there.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't have the most dominant car tonight, I'll be honest with you, but I would say it was probably a solid 4th place car, and, when you start getting strung out and have green flag laps and stuff like that, you kind of realize, okay, well, this might be where you end the race or whatever, but, it was fine. Like I said, I was just battling with a tight car all night, so I'm happy to get a win, though. I'm really excited. I haven't won an MLE this season at all, and I don't think I've won since last season.
All right, one last question here. On that last restart, what did you guys do to get that car to be able to compete with Colin Allman? Was it just the tires, or was there any kind of adjustment you made behind the scenes on that pit stop as well?
Yeah, I took tires and just did a small wedge adjustment, just to loosen it up a little bit on the short run.
All right, thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to my sponsors, though, real quick. Rise Graphics, Mark Dingman, All Access NASCAR, Driven Motorsports, Driven Designs, and McCurry Motorsports, and all my teammates that helped me out with setups. And you guys, thank you.
All right, have a good night, man. Congratulations on the win as well.
Thank you, guys.
Amazing job by AJ Brissett to take it home, and hopefully he can repeat his success next week. We'll see you on Tuesday night. Anarchy Motorsports League hits up Kansas Motor Speedway. Kite Bommersbach, Kite Bommersbach should be there with us, and we are looking forward to that. Dylan, before we go, any last words?
Oh boy, I can't wait to see what they do at Kansas. I love Kansas. It's a great track. It's a shame that airfare wasn't provided yet for that race, but man, after watching this race, I can't wait to see what they do for the points battle and those final few weeks that we got.
We got 4 weeks left. We'll see you then, folks, from the American Sim Network. We see AJ Brissett pulling down to his pit box, and that'll be that night over.